Welcome back to Under Baobab Skies. Tonight, we delve into Beyond the Legends, what it was really like to be a Dogon cliff dweller and more, in the heart of West Africa, where the land stretches out like a sun-baked tapestry. There rises a formation that defies the imagination. The Bandiagara Escarpment, a rugged wall of sandstone, cuts through the Malian landscape like an ancient scar. It is here, in this seemingly inhospitable terrain, that a remarkable people found their home. The Dogon, masters of vertical living, carved their existence into the very face of these cliffs. Their villages cling to the rock face, a testament to human ingenuity and determination. Wooden ladders, worn smooth by generations of hands, connect dwellings that seem to float between earth and sky. Sacred caves, their entrances barely visible to the untrained eye, hold secrets passed down through millennia. This was more than mere survival. The Dogon created a worldview as unique as their dwelling places. Every aspect of their lives was infused with meaning, from the placement of their granaries to the intricate designs of their masks. Their understanding of the cosmos, the cycles of life and death, and the whispers of ancestral spirits shaped every facet of their existence. From their lofty perches, the Dogon gained more than just protection from raiders. They became the keepers of ancient wisdom, preserving knowledge that might otherwise have been lost to time. Their stories, passed down through oral tradition, speak of creation myths, celestial bodies, and the delicate balance between the seen and unseen worlds. But make no mistake, life on the escarpment was far from easy. Each day presented challenges that would break the spirit of lesser people. The climb to reach their homes was treacherous, every journey a test of will and strength. A single misstep could mean plummeting to certain death. Water, that most precious of resources, was scarce, and food even more so. Yet, for the Dogon, this harsh existence was imbued with profound meaning. Every stone beneath their feet, every shadow cast by the setting sun, held significance. The very act of survival became a sacred duty, a way of honoring their ancestors and the land that sustained them. Tonight, as the baobab trees cast their long shadows across the African plain, we invite you to journey with us into the world of the Dogon. We have 4 stories to share, each one a window into a way of life that has fascinated anthropologists, historians, and dreamers for generations. Our first tale takes you to the heart of cliff-dwelling life. We'll explore the daily challenges faced by the Dogon, and why you, accustomed to the comforts of modern living, might find yourself struggling to survive even a single day in their world. From the back-breaking labor of farming on near-vertical slopes to the constant vigilance required to navigate their precarious homes, you'll gain a new appreciation for the resilience of these remarkable people. Next, we'll delve into the rich mythology that forms the backbone of Dogon culture. At the center of their cosmology stands Omma, the supreme creator. We explore how the story of Omma's creation of the universe influences every aspect of Dogon life, from the way they conduct funerals to the timing of their planting seasons. You'll see how the very layout of their villages mirrors their understanding of the cosmos, creating a living map of their beliefs. Our third story tackles one of the most intriguing and controversial aspects of Dogon knowledge. How did a people without modern astronomical tools come to possess such detailed information about the Sirius star system? We'll examine the various theories put forth by researchers and the Dogon themselves, exploring the intersection of ancient wisdom and modern science. Finally, we'll take a closer look at the social structure of Dogon society, focusing on the delicate balance between nobles and commoners, in a world where masks were not just ceremonial objects, but tools of survival and social control. We'll explore how the Dogon maintained order and preserved their way of life through centuries of change. Each of these stories is like a handhold carved into the cliff face of history. As we climb together, you'll gain a deeper understanding of a people who turned adversity into art, hardship into wisdom. So settle in, dear listeners. Let the sounds of the African night wash over you. Feel the ancient dust of the Bandiagara escarpment settle on your skin. Breathe slowly and prepare to be transported to a world where every moment is a balancing act between earth and sky, between the physical and the spiritual. You're now the under baobab skies, and our journey into the world of the Dogon begins now. In the soft light of dawn, when the Sahel air still holds a whisper of coolness, and the sun has yet to scorch the earth, a Dogon child begins to climb. This is no mere adventure. It's the daily rhythm of life. For here, the village is the cliff, and the cliff is home. Rough stone steps, worn smooth by generations of feet, are carved into sheer rock faces. Ropes, woven from sun-bleached grass, sway gently in the morning breeze. Wooden ladders, darkened by countless seasons of sun and rain, creak under each careful step. One misstep, one moment of distraction, and the child becomes nothing more than a fleeting shadow on the unforgiving ground below. Each Dogon settlement seems to challenge the very laws of nature. Granaries, shaped like ancient beehives, cling to narrow ledges where only birds of prey should dare to rest. Homes are not built upon the rock, but within it, carved directly into the living stone. Windows, small and purposeful, face not towards the comfort of a cooling breeze, but towards the winds that carry the whispers of ancestors and spirits. This is an architecture born of both deep faith and fierce survival, created by a people who saw the cliff not as an obstacle to overcome, but as a guardian, an ancestor, a living part of their world. Let us pause for a moment. The fire crackles softly, and we rest beneath a vast canopy of stars, each one a story waiting to be told. To dwell upon the cliff is to forget the very concept of flatness. Even the most basic necessity, water, demands a perilous journey. As the first light breaks over the horizon, young men begin their descent, empty calabashes in hand. Hours later, they return, bodies glistening with sweat, skin scratched by unforgiving rock, ankles wrapped in cloth, now heavy with mud and the weight of their labor. In this vertical world, no task is simple. Everything demands time, effort, and often pain. But time here flows differently. It is slow, deliberate, sacred. As night falls, the wind rises, howling like a hungry beast. It claws at thatched roofs and whistles between the ancient granaries, a constant reminder of the precarious nature of life on the cliff face. Yet, inside the homes, half carved into solid rock, families huddle close. Their voices are low, almost reverent, as they recount tales of their ancestors or speak of the clever fox, that sly messenger between seen and unseen realms. In this place, silence is never truly empty. It brims with memory, with the weight of countless generations who have clung to this very rock. But the daily climb is about more than just fetching water or tending crops. It is a form of protection, a living memory of survival. Centuries ago, when slave traders and marauders swept across Mali's vast plains like a plague of locusts, the Dogon found salvation in the vertical world. The cliffs became their refuge, their defiance, a geography of resistance etched in stone. And so, even today, each careful step up a weathered ladder is an act of remembrance, a quiet rebellion against a history that tried to erase them. Let us pause once more. The fire flickers, casting dancing shadows on ancient rock walls, and we breathe in the stillness of the night. This vertical existence exacts a heavy toll on the body. Ankles twist on unseen pebbles, knees crack and ache long before old age should claim them. Women, their spines straight as the cliff itself, carry impossibly heavy grain baskets balanced on their heads. They climb for hours, season after season, to store precious millet in granaries, so perfectly sealed they resist both rodents and the relentless passage of time. Their backs may ache, but their eyes never waver. There is a fierce pride in this pain, a knowledge that each step connects them to the ancestors who climbed these very paths. Far below, at the base of the towering escarpment, life takes on a different rhythm. Here, where the land shows a hint of mercy, fields of cassava, millet, and onions stretch towards the horizon. But even this relative bounty comes with danger. In the scorching heat of February, when the earth cracks with thirst, wild boars descend from their lairs high on the plateau. They rampaged through carefully tended crops, uprooting a season's worth of hope in a single night. And so, the men remain ever vigilant. Spears rest always within reach, for a rustle in the dry bush might be nothing more than the wind, or it might be hunger given tusks and claws. And then there is the drought, a spectre that looms larger with each passing year. The Dogon have learned to read fear in cloudless skies. No rain means no food, no life. Just relentless wind, choking dust, and desperate prayers hurled into an indifferent sky. Rainmakers, once revered as intermediaries between earth and heaven, now huddle over ancient clay pots. They whisper chants passed down through countless generations, hoping against hope that the spirits remember the taste of water. For in this harsh land, hope dries slower than even the mightiest river. Let us pause once more. The fire has burned low, its embers glowing like the eyes of watchful ancestors. Yet, through it all, through hunger that gnaws at the belly and heat that sears the very air you breathe, there is ritual. Every task, every climb, every labored cough in the dark of night is witnessed by those who came before. One does not simply build a new granary or harvest a crop without first seeking permission from the unseen world. The village elders, their faces etched with the same lines as the cliff itself. Consult the Dogon, the spiritual leader whose connection to the ancestors is as solid as the rock beneath their feet. Nothing here is random, nothing without meaning. Every inch of the cliff thrums with sacred power. To make your home among these towering rocks is not merely an act of survival. It is to belong to something greater than yourself. Every grain of sand holds a memory. Every worn rung of a ladder bears the invisible imprint of countless hands that came before. And even now, in a molly that struggles to balance ancient ways with the relentless march of the modern world, those who have moved to the towns below still return. They come back for burials, steeped in rituals as old as the cliffs themselves. They return for blessings, to seek guidance from elders who remember when the world was simpler, if no less harsh. They come to remember who they are and where they truly belong. For this place is so much more than just a home. It is heritage made tangible. It is a heartbeat etched in stone, a defiant pulse that has echoed through centuries and will continue long after we are gone. As the first light of a new day breaks over the Bandiagara cliffs, painting the ancient rock in shades of gold and rose, a child begins to climb. Not for adventure, but because this is the way of things. This is what it means to be Dogon, to live among the gods, even when your bones ache and your fingers bleed. To carry the weight of history with every step, knowing that you are but one small link in a chain that stretches back to the very beginning of time. And as that child reaches for the next handhold, fingers finding purchase on stone worn smooth by countless generations, We are reminded that true strength often lies not in conquering nature, but in learning to live in harmony with it, even when that harmony demands sacrifice, demands that we reshape our very understanding of what it means to call a place home. The Dogon have not just survived on these cliffs, they have thrived. They have created a world of beauty and meaning in a place where others saw only barren rock and impossible heights. And in doing so, they have left us all a powerful lesson, that sometimes the greatest act of defiance is simply to endure, to persist, to continue climbing no matter how steep the path may seem. As the sun climbs higher, casting long shadows across the face of the cliff, we are left with a sense of awe. For in this place, where earth meets sky and the boundary between the physical and spiritual worlds grows thin, we catch a glimpse of something truly remarkable. We see the indomitable spirit of a people who have made their home among the clouds, who have turned sheer rock into a canvas for their dreams and their faith. And we are reminded that sometimes the most extraordinary stories are written not in books, but in the very stone beneath our feet. The cliffs of Bandiagara, towering like the spine of the earth itself, were never merely shelter. They were a threshold, a divide between the visible and invisible, between the dust of the mortal path and the wind whispers of the ancestors. For the Dogon, the cliff was not chosen out of fear or chance. It was selected by prophecy. In the ancient times, when the world was young and the stars spoke in whispers, the Dogon people embarked on a journey that would shape their destiny. This was no hurried escape, no frantic flight from danger. It was a pilgrimage, slow and deliberate, guided by forces beyond mortal comprehension. The heartland, their ancestral home, faded into memory as they followed the celestial signs that beckoned them forward. Sirius, the brightest star in the night sky, aligned with their path like a cosmic compass. The diviners, those keepers of ancient wisdom, cast millet shells upon the earth, reading the spirals they formed as one might read a sacred text. These weren't mere settlers seeking refuge from the harsh realities of the world. No, they were a priesthood on the move, carrying with them the weight of generations and the whispers of gods. When at last they arrived at the Bandiagara Escarpment, they found more than just stone and sky. They discovered a living scripture etched into the very face of the cliff. Every cave resonated with a vibration that spoke of hidden truths. Every overhang held a voice that echoed through the ages. To the untrained eye, these heights might have seemed an inconvenience, a challenging place to build a life. But to the Dogon, it was a revelation. The high terraces that stretched along the cliff face were not simply a defense against raiders or wild beasts. They were vantage points from which one could witness the breath of spirits in the wind-swept dust. Here, at the edge of the world, the Dogon found not just protection, but prophecy. The very air they breathed was thick with the presence of the unseen. As dawn breaks over the Bandiagara cliffs, a drone sweeps across the landscape, revealing a world suspended between earth and sky. Granaries, shaped like ancient wombs, nestle in high crevices, their thatched tops a testament to the fertility of both land and spirit. Footpaths wind along sharp rock edges, each step a pilgrimage in miniature. And there, standing at the edge of a precipice, a Dogon elder holds prayer beads, his silhouette a bridge between worlds. The homes of the Dogon were not mere dwellings, but embodiments of sacred logic. Those granaries, round and elevated off the ground by stones, were more than storage for earthly sustenance. They were symbols of memory, of the endless cycle of life and death, of the wisdom passed down through generations. Each home was built around a spiritual epicenter, a shrine to the ancestors carved in reverent silence. Even today, these sacred spaces remain unphotographed, their mysteries preserved in the shadows of time. Within these homes, every object held a code, a secret language of the soul. A simple stool was never just for sitting. Its 3 legs echoed the triad of earth, ancestors, and breath, a cosmic balance in wood and craft. A child's cradle, shaped like a celestial canoe, cradled not just an infant, but the very future of the Dogon people. Even the arrangement of pottery on shelves was a reflection of spiritual seasons. Some vessels destined to hold water, others to contain the very essence of prophecy. As we draw closer to these artifacts, their power becomes palpable. Carved wooden doors bear ancestral symbols, each line and curve a story waiting to be told. Traditional clay pots, their surfaces adorned with cosmic motifs, speak of a people who saw the universe in every grain of sand. And on the walls, spiritual diagrams painted with careful hands map out the invisible pathways between this world and the next. Above the Dogon dwellings, higher still on the sheer cliff face, loom the Telem caves. These ancient tombs, carved into vertical walls that seem to defy gravity itself, hold secrets older than memory. The Telem, some say, were giants. Others whisper that they were spirits, guardians of a mystery too profound for mortal minds. But to the Dogon, they were more than legends. They were ancestors, not in blood, but in spirit. Keepers of a wisdom that transcended time and flesh. No one climbed those sheer walls casually. To bury someone in those lofty tombs was to send their soul on a journey beyond the veil of mortality. It was a sacred act, one that brought the departed closer to the gods, to a realm where wind replaced gravity and the boundaries between worlds grew thin. And so, in every aspect of Dogon life, there echoed a deeper resonance. Every grain stored in those womb-like granaries was not just sustenance, but a seed of continuity. Every footstep taken along those precarious paths was not just a journey, but a prayer. Every night spent under the vast canopy of stars was a communion with forces beyond mortal ken. The Dogon did not simply live on a cliff. They existed in the spaces between past and future, between rock and sky, between the fleeting breath of life and the long, patient murmur of the dead. Their survival was never about mere endurance. It was about alignment, a delicate balance of soul, soil, and star. As the sun sets over the Bandiagara escarpment, painting the cliffs in hues of gold and shadow, we begin to understand. The Dogon way of life was not just a testament to human resilience. It was a living bridge between worlds, a constant dialogue with the unseen. In their homes, carved from living rock, in their rituals that echoed the movements of distant stars, the Dogon found more than shelter. They found purpose. The wind whispers through the ancient stones, carrying with it the voices of countless generations. It speaks of a people who did not just survive, but thrived in the embrace of mystery. It tells of a wisdom that saw the sacred in the ordinary, that found cosmic truths in the curve of a pot or the shape of a doorway. As night falls and the first stars begin to twinkle in the vast African sky, we are left with a profound sense of wonder. The Dogon, in their cliffside homes, remind us that there is more to life than what meets the eye. They teach us to look beyond the visible, to listen for the whispers of ancestors in the wind, to see the dance of spirits in the dust motes caught by the setting sun. Their legacy is not just in stone and clay, but in the enduring power of belief. It is a legacy that challenges us to see the world not as it appears, but as it truly is. A tapestry of seen and unseen, woven with threads of stardust and human dreams. In the end, the cliffs of Bandiagara stand not just as a home, but as a testament to the human spirit's capacity to find meaning and magic in the very bones of the earth. As the merciless sun climbed to its zenith, the Fulani herders had long since vanished from their nighttime resting place. Each movement, every hoof fall of their cattle, was part of an intricate dance spanning vast distances across unforgiving terrain. Yet, beyond the ever-present dangers of venomous serpents and thorny scrub, beyond the constant threats of fever and dehydration, loomed a peril not born of nature's cruelty, but of man's greed. Raiders, they materialized like specters in the soft blue light of dawn or the hushed moments of dusk, their forms shimmering like mirages. Wrapped in turbans and adorned in weathered leather, some were members of rival clans, driven by the need to settle ancient grudges rooted deep in the bloodlines of their cattle. Others were ruthless bandits of the desert, haunting the Sahel like restless spirits on horseback, pillaging herds to finance their own desperate struggle for survival. Around every Fulani campfire, tales were whispered of sudden ambushes, of kinsmen bound with their own ropes, of the thunderous sound of hooves fading into the darkness as stolen herds vanished like smoke on the wind. These were not mere acts of theft. They were calculated strikes at the very heart of Fulani identity. For the herds represented far more than just meat on the hoof. They were living repositories of memory, symbols of status, and the currency of marriage contracts. A single successful raid could obliterate generations of carefully cultivated family prestige in the blink of an eye. In the hazy light of early morning, a Fulani caravan moved slowly across the landscape. Suddenly, silhouettes emerge from the golden haze. Raiders on the attack, camels rear in panic, their outlines stark against the rising sun. Dust billows as figures scatter into the scrubland, desperate to escape. In the chaos, a pair of broken leather sandals lies abandoned, calabashes rolling forgotten across the ground. Silent witnesses to the violence unfolding. Yet the Fulani did not wander aimlessly, tempting fate with each step. Their journeys were governed by something far more ancient and profound than any mechanical timepiece. They carried with them travel clocks of the spirit, passed down through countless generations. The elders held fast to the belief that every herd possessed its own unique rhythm, a cadence mapped out in the wheeling constellations above, woven into the fabric of ancestral wisdom and encoded in the soft songs murmured during the long migrations. They possessed an innate knowledge of when to move, not merely dictated by the changing of seasons, but guided by a deep-seated intuition. A particular pattern of clouds scudding across the sky, the alarmed cry of a bird taking flight, or an ominous whisper carried on the wind could signal impending danger long before any raider's silhouette appeared on the horizon. Entire herds might abruptly change course, veering eastward, or halt their progress for a full day's cycle, all to wait out what the elders deemed a bad hour. This was not mere superstition or baseless folklore. It was a finely honed survival instinct, honed over centuries of harsh experience. Against a backdrop of endless sky, a wizened Fulani elder stands resolute. His gnarled hand grips a wooden staff, using it to trace patterns in the faint wisps of cloud overhead. Children gather around him in reverent silence, absorbing ancient wisdom. The scene fades, transitioning to a close-up view of an intricately beaded charm, its colors vibrant against the weathered horn of a cow, a talisman bridging the worlds of spirit and survival. And yet, despite all their caution and ancestral knowledge, death remained an ever-present companion on these perilous journeys. Sometimes, the youngest and most vulnerable members of the herding parties would simply vanish without a trace. Cattle would return to camp, lowing mournfully with no human guide in sight. Weeks might pass before a grim discovery was made. A sun-bleached skull lying silent beneath. The twisted branches of an acacia grove, the only remnant of a life cut tragically short. To take on the mantle of a Fulani cattle wrangler meant far more than merely understanding the ways of animals. It demanded a constant state of vigilance, one eye forever scanning the shimmering horizon for signs of danger, while the other remained fixed on the lessons of the past. For in this harsh realm of dust and thundering hooves, safety was not a given. It was a sacred ritual, enacted daily but never guaranteed. As soft twilight settles over the vast Sahel plains, a solemn gathering takes shape. Fulani herders form a silent circle around a freshly raised burial mound, heads bowed in grief and reverence. One figure steps forward, a calabash held carefully in weathered hands. With slow, deliberate motions, he pours a stream of precious milk onto the parched earth, an offering to both the departed and the unforgiving land that claimed them. The Fulani's existence was a delicate balance, precariously maintained in a world that seemed determined to tip the scales against them at every turn. Their resilience was forged in the crucible of constant threat, their traditions a shield against the harsh realities of their nomadic life. Every decision, from the direction of their travels to the timing of their rest, was weighted with potential consequences that could mean the difference between survival and annihilation. As darkness fell each night, the Fulani would gather their herds close, forming protective circles of both beasts and men. Sentries would be posted, their eyes straining to pierce the inky blackness beyond the glow of dying embers. The soft lowing of cattle mingled with whispered prayers and the gentle tinkling of bells tied around the necks of lead animals. These sounds formed a comforting cocoon, a temporary refuge against the dangers that lurked just beyond the firelight's reach. But even in sleep, vigilance never truly left them. The slightest unfamiliar noise, a twig snapping underfoot, the rustle of fabric against thorny brush, could rouse an entire camp in an instant. Weapons would be grasped, children clutched close, as they waited with bated breath to discern friend from foe in the pre-dawn gloom. The constant threat of violence left its mark on the Fulani psyche. Joy was tempered with caution, celebration muted by the ever-present spectre of loss. Marriages were bittersweet affairs, for while they represented the continuation of bloodlines and traditions, they also meant the division of herds, leaving families more vulnerable to devastating raids. The birth of a child brought both hope for the future and fear for its fragility in such an unforgiving world. Yet, amidst this seemingly endless cycle of danger and hardship, the Fulani found moments of transcendent beauty. The vast expanse of star-studded sky stretching from horizon to horizon, the first tentative shoots of green pushing through sun-baked earth after a rare rainfall, the graceful arc of a newborn calf taking its first wobbling steps. These fleeting instances of wonder served as balm for weary souls, reminding the Fulani of the preciousness of life and the importance of their role as stewards of both their herds and their ancient way of life. Their songs, passed down through generations, were not merely entertainment but living histories and survival manuals wrapped in haunting melodies. Lyrics spoke of hidden water sources, of safe passages through treacherous terrain, of the signs that heralded the changing of seasons. Woven into these practical guides were tales of heroic ancestors, cautionary fables, and invocations to benevolent spirits for protection. To lose these songs would be to lose a vital part of their collective memory, leaving them adrift in a hostile land. As the years passed, the challenges facing the Fulani only seemed to multiply. Changing climate patterns disrupted age-old migration routes. expanding farmland encroached on grazing territories. Modern borders and regulations clashed with their nomadic lifestyle. Yet still, they persevered, adapting their ancient ways to navigate this new landscape of both physical and political obstacles. For the Fulani understood that their way of life was more than mere survival. It was a sacred trust. They were the guardians of a delicate ecosystem, their herds playing a vital role in maintaining the fragile balance of the Sahel. Their movements, dictated by the rhythms of nature and ancestral wisdom, helped regenerate the land, preventing overgrazing and allowing vegetation to recover. To abandon their traditions would be to betray not only their forebears, but the very earth that sustained them. And so, they continued their eternal journey, moving with the seasons, always alert, always adapting. Each step taken was a defiance of the myriad forces arrayed against them, both human and natural. Each calf born, each song sung, each ritual performed was an affirmation of their resilience and their determination to preserve a way of life as old as the wind-sculpted dunes themselves. For in the end, the Fulani knew that their greatest strength lay not in weapons or wealth, but in the unbreakable bonds of community and the timeless wisdom passed down through countless generations. As long as they held fast to these truths, they would endure, moving ever onward across the vast, unforgiving expanse of the Sahel, a living testament to the indomitable spirit of humanity in the face of seemingly insurmountable odds. In the hushed embrace of ancient cliffs, where time itself seems to pause, the Dogon people speak in reverent whispers of Oma. This is not a tale of creation born from thunderous proclamation or blinding light, but rather a story of subtle stirrings in the vast emptiness that preceded all. Oma, to the Dogon, is not a deity fashioned in the image of mortals, but an elemental forcer, cosmic heartbeat pulsing through the fabric of existence. Imagine, if you will, the birth of the universe not as a sudden explosion, but as an intricate dance of energies slowly coalescing into form. Ama's essence permeated the void, a gentle vibration that gradually took shape, like ripples spreading across the surface of still water. This primal rhythm became the very foundation of all that would come to be. In the Dogon cosmology, creation is not a hasty act, but a patient unfolding. Picture a master weaver at their loom, fingers moving with practiced precision, thread by thread bringing a tapestry to life. So too did Amma weave the world into being, each element carefully placed, each pattern imbued with meaning. The breath of Amma became the wind that stirred the primordial waters, the whisper that awakened the first seeds of life. From this meticulous crafting emerged order, a delicate balance of forces that would govern all of existence. And from this order, like sparks thrown from a blacksmith's forge, came the 8 ancestors, the Namo spirits. These beings, neither fully divine nor entirely mortal, were born from seeds nestled within Amma's cosmic womb. Each Namo carried within them a fragment of Amma's essence, destined to shape the world that was yet to come. The Dogon people, keepers of this ancient wisdom, have woven these creation stories into the very fabric of their daily lives. Their understanding of Oma is not confined to myth and legend, but finds expression in every aspect of their existence. Just as Umma first separated light from darkness, day from night, so to do the Dogon mark the rhythms of their world. Observe the careful division of their agricultural calendar, each season a reflection of Amma's original act of creation. The planting of millet, the harvesting of crops, these are not mere survival tasks, but sacred rites that echo the primordial separation of elements. In the building of a home, from the first stone laid to the final thatching of the roof, the Dogon honor the orderly progression of Amma's creative process. Their rituals, too, are a living embodiment of cosmic harmony. The dance of masked figures during festivals is not mere entertainment, but a reenactment of the universe's birth. Each step, each gesture is imbued with the rhythm of Amma's breath, a physical manifestation of the unseen forces that govern all life. To live in harmony with Orma is not an abstract concept for the Dogon, but a tangible, daily practice. It is found in the careful placement of a granary, aligned with celestial bodies. It is present in the intricate scarification patterns adorning the bodies of initiates, each mark a symbol of their place within the greater cosmic order. This deep connection to the rhythms of creation extends beyond the spiritual realm, finding practical application in every facet of Dogon life. The cycles of planting and harvesting are not determined by arbitrary dates on a calendar, but by careful observation of natural signs, the position of certain stars, the behavior of plants and animals. Each of these indicators is seen as a message from Amma, guiding the community towards prosperity and balance. The Dogon understand that to break these sacred rhythms is to invite chaos into their world. A misstep in ritual, a disregard for traditional planting times, these are not mere inconveniences, but disruptions in the cosmic order established by Uma. Such transgressions are believed to lead to disharmony within the community, manifesting as illness, crop failure, or the dreaded spectre of drought. As we pan slowly across a hand-carved Dogon calendar board, our eyes trace the intricate symbols etched into its surface. Each mark is a testament to generations of accumulated wisdom, a physical representation of the invisible threads that connect the Dogon to their ancestors and to Amma itself. Here, a spiral represents the cycle of seasons. There, a series of dots charts the movement of a celestial body, crucial to agricultural timing. The ochre cliffs that have stood sentinel over Dogon lands for millennia loom in the background, their weathered faces a reminder of the enduring nature of Amma's creation. A soft, haunting melody drifts on the air, the sound of a flute, its notes weaving through the scene like Amma's breath given voice. This calendar is more than a tool for marking time. It is a sacred text, a map of the cosmos as understood by the Dogon. Each symbol is imbued with multiple layers of meaning, speaking not only of practical matters like rainfall and sowing times, but also of the deeper spiritual truths that underpin Dogon existence. The symbols for ancestral spirits remind the living of their obligations to those who have passed into the realm of Uma. These are not distant, forgotten figures, but active participants in the ongoing cycle of creation. The Dogon believe that proper veneration of ancestors ensures their continued guidance and protection, maintaining the delicate balance between the seen and unseen worlds. Rainfall, so crucial to life in this arid land, is represented by intricate patterns that speak of the interplay between earth and sky. These symbols are not mere pictographs, but complex equations that encode generations of meteorological knowledge. By reading these signs, Dogon elders can predict the coming of rains with remarkable accuracy, ensuring the community's survival in a harsh and unforgiving environment. The rituals of sowing are given equal prominence on the calendar board. Their symbols a reminder that agriculture is not merely an economic activity, but a sacred act that echoes Amma's original creation. Each seed planted is seen as a continuation of Amma's work, a participation in the ongoing process of universal unfolding. As the sun's position shifts, shadows play across the carved surface of the calendar, bringing different symbols into prominence. This interplay of light and shadow is itself a lesson, a reminder of the dynamic nature of existence. Nothing is static in the Dogon worldview. All is in constant motion, a perpetual dance choreographed by Amma's eternal rhythm. The soft flute music that accompanies our contemplation of the calendar board is more than mere background. It is a living connection to the breath of Uma. Each note a vibration that resonates with the cosmic frequencies set in motion at the dawn of creation. The musician, unseen but felt, becomes a conduit for Amma's creative force. Their breath merging with the primal exhalation that birthed the universe. As we draw back from the intricacies of the calendar board, our perspective widens to encompass the entirety of Dogon existence. We see a people living not in opposition to the natural world, but in deep, harmonious connection with it. Every action, from the grandest ritual to the most mundane daily task, is infused with awareness of Amma's presence. In this way, the Dogon embody a profound truth that the sacred and the everyday are not separate realms, but interwoven aspects of a single, unified reality. Their lives are a continuous act of creation, each moment an opportunity to align with the rhythms set in motion by Uma at the beginning of time. As the last notes of the flute fade into silence, we are left with a sense of the immense depth and complexity of Dogon cosmology. It is a worldview that offers not just spiritual comfort, but practical guidance for living in balance with the natural world. In an age of environmental crisis and spiritual disconnection, perhaps there are lessons here for all of humanity, a reminder that we, too, are part of Amma's great unfolding, and that our actions ripple through the fabric of creation itself. In the land of the Dogon, where ancient wisdom whispers through the wind-carved cliffs, rain is not merely a gift from the heavens. It is a sacred covenant between the earthbound and the divine. The Namo, those celestial beings of water and light, hold the key to the life-giving rains. Only when they are at peace does the sky open, blessing the parched earth with its precious bounty. As the dry season wanes and the promise of rain hangs heavy in the air, the village elders gather in solemn assembly, their weathered faces etched with the stories of countless seasons. Turn towards the Binithos, mystical shrines that bridge the gap between the mortal and the eternal. Each family's totem, a living link to their ancestral past, stands sentinel over these sacred spaces. With reverence, the elders approach the Binu. Their gnarled hands, calloused from years of tilling the unforgiving soil, now cradle offerings of golden millet. The grains cascade like a waterfall of hope, a humble tribute to the forces that govern their world. As the millet settles, a hush falls over the gathering. Then, from wizened throats, emerge the chants words in a tongue so ancient and secret that even the speakers do not fully comprehend their power. These syllables, passed down through generations, are believed to resonate with the very fabric of creation. They weave through the air a sonic tapestry that reaches across the veil, separating the seen from the unseen. But the ritual is far from complete. The Segoe calendar, that intricate map of time and cosmic alignment, is unfurled. Its markings, enigmatic to the uninitiated, are a roadmap to the cycles of life, death, and rebirth that govern all existence. The elders' eyes scan the symbols, decoding messages left by their ancestors, searching for the perfect moment to welcome the rains. For, in the world of the Dogon, timing is not just important, it is everything. Each action, each ceremony, must be performed in harmony with the grand design of Oma, the supreme creator. To act out of sync is to risk disrupting the delicate balance upon which all life depends. This meticulous attention to cosmic timing extends even to the realm of death. When a man breathes his last, his journey to the afterlife cannot begin on just any day. The community turns to the Hogan, their high priest and living conduit to the divine, for guidance. The Hogan's role is one of profound responsibility. With eyes that see beyond the veil of mortality, he reads the signs woven into the fabric of existence. The placement of stars in the night sky becomes a celestial text, revealing hidden truths. The behavior of animals, a lizard's sudden dash, a bird's peculiar call speaks volumes to his trained senses. But perhaps most mysterious of all are the dreams of women on the cusp of bringing new life into the world. Their nighttime visions, colored by the proximity of birth and death, are windows into realms beyond mortal understanding. The Hogar listens to these dream tales with rapt attention, for in them may lie the key to determining the proper time for a soul's final journey. If the signs are not aligned, if the cosmic rhythms are not in harmony, then the burial must wait. This is a truth accepted with stoic resolve by the Dogon people. No matter the grief that weighs upon their hearts, no matter the physical realities of death in a hot climate, they will not rush what must not be rushed. For days, sometimes even weeks, a body may lie in state, a testament to the Dogon's unwavering commitment to their beliefs. The air may grow heavy with the scent of mortality, and sorrow may threaten to overwhelm the mourners, but still they wait. For to bury a man out of time is to risk far greater calamities than temporary discomfort or prolonged mourning. In this way, every act of Dogon life becomes a mirror of the cosmic dance. From the first seeds pressed into the earth to the final meal shared in celebration of a bountiful harvest, each moment is imbued with profound significance. These are not mere routines or traditions. They are living reenactments of the Dogon creation story. As farmers plant their crops, they do not simply sow seeds, they recreate the primordial act of life springing forth from the void. When women pound millet for the day's meals, their rhythmic strokes echo the heartbeat of the universe itself. Even children at play, their laughter ringing out across sun-baked courtyards, unknowingly participate in this grand pageant of existence. The spiral of life and death turns ever onward, a great wheel set in motion at the dawn of time. With each revolution, the patterns shift subtly, like ripples spreading across the surface of a still pond. No two seasons are exactly alike. No two lives follow precisely the same path. And yet, all remain bound within the great circle of Amma's design. This is the paradox at the heart of Dogon cosmology, a world of constant change that remains eternally unchanging. The rains come and go, crops flourish and wither, generations rise and fall, but the fundamental truths endure. The Namo still watch from their celestial abode, the Bennu still stand as silent guardians of ancient wisdom, and the people still move in step with rhythms laid down at the beginning of all things. As night falls over the Dogon lands, a new chapter in this eternal story unfolds. Beneath the vast canopy of stars, figures emerge from the shadows. They are the priests, keepers of sacred knowledge, intermediaries between the world of flesh and the realm of spirit. Their bodies are adorned with masks of profound power and mystery faces of wood and fiber that transform mere men into living embodiments of primal forces. The priests move with deliberate grace, their steps a dance, choreographed by tradition and infused with divine purpose. Their hands, gnarled like the branches of ancient trees, stretch skyward in supplication. It is a gesture as old as humanity itself, a reaching out to touch the face of the infinite. Around them, fires spring to life, their flames leaping and twisting in an elemental ballet. The firelight casts long shadows against the towering cliff walls that have stood sentinel over Dogon lands since time immemorial. These shadows seem to take on a life of their own, merging with the spirits of ancestors who watch over their descendants with eternal vigilance. The air thrums with the sound of drums, their rhythms complex and hypnotic. Each beat is a heartbeat, a footstep on the path between worlds. Voices rise in song, words in the secret language that speaks directly to the soul of creation. The very rocks seem to vibrate in sympathy, the earth itself awakening to the power of the ritual. As the ceremony reaches its crescendo, the boundaries between past and present, between the physical and the spiritual, begin to blur. In this liminal space, the priests become conduits for forces beyond mortal comprehension. Their masked faces turn towards the moon, hanging low and luminous in the sky, a silent witness to the unfolding mystery. For those who observe, time seems to lose all meaning. The ritual could last minutes or hours or lifetimes. Matters not. What matters is the connection being forged, the ancient covenant being renewed. With each gesture, each chant, each step of the sacred dance, the Dogon people reaffirm their place in the grand tapestry of existence. And so the wheel turns, the spiral tightens and expands, and life goes on. The rains will come when the Namo are pleased. The crops will grow according to Amma's plan. And the people will continue to walk the path laid out for them by their ancestors. In the land of the Dogon, where every act is a prayer and every moment a miracle, the dance of creation never truly ends. In the heart of Molly's Bandiagara escarpment, where ancient cliffs whisper secrets of the cosmos, the Dogon people have long understood that death is not an end, but a return. When a soul departs from its earthly vessel, it doesn't simply vanish into the void. Instead, it flows back into the grand tapestry of existence, woven by Amma, the supreme creator. Imagine, if you will, the moment of transition. An elder, wrinkled by time and wisdom, takes their final breath. As the body stills, the Nyamate, that vital essence that animates all living things, begins its journey. It doesn't dissipate like morning mist. Rather, it seeks new forms, new expressions. Perhaps it finds its way into the lusty cry of a newborn, announcing its arrival with vigor. Or maybe it settles into the rhythmic pulse of a drum, beating out the heartbeat of the village during a festival. This understanding of death as transformation rather than termination colors every aspect of Dogon funerary practices. Unlike the somber, black-draped affairs of the West, a Dogon funeral is a vibrant affair, a cosmic correction. It's as if the entire community comes together to adjust a painting that's tilted slightly off kilter, restoring balance to the universal composition. As the sun dips low on the horizon, painting the escarpment in hues of amber and gold, the village gathers. The air is thick with the scent of sacred herbs and the low hum of voices. The Namo, those primordial beings of water and wisdom, are called upon. Their presence is felt in the cool breeze that rustles through the baobab leaves, in the glint of starlight on the Niger River far below. The body of the departed is prepared with great care and reverence. Hands that have tilled the earth, woven cloth, and cradled children are gently washed. The skin is anointed with oils, each drop a prayer for safe passage. As this happens, the elders begin to speak, their voices rising and falling like the undulating landscape around them. They speak of duty not as a burden, but as a sacred trust. To live rhythmically, they say, is to honor the cosmic dance that began with Amma's first thought. Each step we take, each word we speak, each seed we plant, echoes that primordial moment of creation. The Dogon understand that their lives are not isolated incidents, but continuations of a story that began long before them and will continue long after. As night falls, The funeral transforms into a celebration of life's cyclical nature. Drums begin to beat, softly at first, then with increasing intensity. Dancers move in intricate patterns, their feet kicking up dust that seems to glow in the firelight. Their movements tell stories of creation, of struggle, of triumph, of return. The Niyama of the departed is not forgotten in this revelry. Rather, it's honored, its energy redirected back into the community. In the laughter of children playing in the shadows, in the shared meal passed from hand to hand, in the stories told around the fire, the essence of the one who has passed lives on. As dawn approaches, the body is taken to its final resting place. High on the cliff face, protected from the elements and closer to the stars, a burial platform awaits. It's a simple structure, yet imbued with profound meaning. Carefully placed ritual objects surround the body, a walking stick for the journey, a bowl for sustenance, tokens of a life well lived. The first rays of sunlight break over the horizon as the final rites are performed. The Dogon, spiritual leader of the village, speaks words passed down through countless generations. He reminds those gathered that death is not an ending, but a returning to Uma, to the earth, to the great cycle of existence. As the ceremony concludes, there's a palpable sense of completion, of rightness. The Niyama has been settled, the cosmic balance restored. Yet this is not a closing of a book, but the turning of a page. The story continues, as it always has, as it always will. In the days that follow, life in the village resumes its rhythm. Fields are tended, cloth is woven, children are taught. But there's a new awareness, a deeper appreciation for the interconnectedness of all things. The departed is not gone, but transformed. Their wisdom lives on in the words of the elders, their strength in the arms of the farmers, their laughter in the games of the young. This is the profound truth that the Dogon have safeguarded for centuries. They are more than just inhabitants of this striking landscape. They are keepers of a cosmic memory. Their traditions and beliefs turn the very stones of the escarpment into living stories. The silence of the desert night becomes a song of creation, and life itself unfolds as a grand, never-ending drumbeat that began with Amma's first thought and continues with each birth, each death, each moment of existence. As the sun sets once more on the Bandiagara escarpment, casting long shadows across the ancient rocks, one can almost hear the whisper of countless generations. It speaks of resilience, of wisdom, of a deep and abiding connection to the rhythms of the universe. The Dogon, in their quiet way, remind us all that we are part of something far greater than ourselves, a cosmic dance that has no beginning and no end. In this land of red earth and star-filled skies, death is not feared. It is understood as a transition, a return to source, a chance for renewal. And so, as night falls and the first stars appear, the Dogon look up and remember. They remember that they are not just of this earth, but of the cosmos. That their lives are not isolated moments, but part of an eternal pattern set in motion by Amma at the dawn of time. And in that remembering, in that deep knowing, they find peace. For in the Dogon worldview, nothing is ever truly lost. Energy cannot be destroyed, only transformed. The Niyama flows on, taking new shapes, singing new songs, but always, always returning to the source. As the last light fades from the sky, a gentle breeze stirs the leaves of the baobab trees. In that whisper of wind, one might hear the echo of ancient wisdom. We are all one. We are all connected. We are all returning home. They say the Dogon did not look at the stars for wishes or romance. They looked to survive. In the heart of West Africa, beneath the towering cliffs of Bandiagara, A people gazed skyward with eyes that saw beyond the veil of night. Long before the telescope pierced the darkness, the Dogon were already watching, their gaze fixed not just on the brilliant white beacon they called Sigi Tolasirius, but on something else, something unseen, something their myths whispered about in hushed tones. Potolo, the companion star. This was no mere pinprick of light in their cosmology. The Dogon spoke of a star so dense, so heavy, that it was forged from the very essence of creation itself. They said it was made of the heaviest matter in the universe. A concept that would baffle modern astronomers until 1970, when they finally discovered Sirius B. But for the Dogon, they had already given it a name, woven it into their stories, and aligned their lives with its unseen dance across the heavens. Beneath the ancient cliffs, stargazing was not a casual pastime or a romantic indulgence. It was a sacred duty, a ceremonial act passed down from priest to apprentice in the quiet darkness of countless nights. The Dogon believed that the stars were not silent, distant points of light, but living, breathing entities. They exhaled just as humans did, their cosmic breath intertwining with the pulse of all creation. This cosmic respiration was not just a poetic notion, it was the very heartbeat of their world, connecting the timing of human rituals with the cycles of invisible, heavenly bodies. The Dogon understood that the universe moved in patterns, in rhythms that echoed through every aspect of existence. And so, every 60 years, they would gather for the Segui festival, a grand celebration that renewed their world and marked the orbit of an unseen star around Sirius A. Imagine, if you will, a Dogon elder, his weathered hands moving with practiced precision as he carves constellation symbols into the face of an ancient rock. Above him, the night sky blazes with a brilliance rarely seen in our modern, light-polluted world. As his chisel etches the stone, we might overlay the scene with a faint animation, the dance of Sirius A and its invisible companion, a white dwarf spinning in an eternal cosmic waltz. The Dogon cosmology was not a simple collection of stories. It was a complex tapestry of knowledge, woven from threads of observation, tradition, and a deep connection to the natural world. They spoke of spiraling motion, the turning of stars, the spinning of souls, the breath of Oma, their creator, and the rhythmic drumbeat of rain. In their eyes, the Sirius system was the crown jewel of a sky pulsing with memory and pattern. But their astronomical knowledge didn't stop there. The Dogon knew, with startling accuracy, how many days it took the moon to complete its cycle. They tracked the dangerous glow of Venus, understanding its movements and significance. Their calendars, carved in myth and etched in stone, held secrets that modern science is still struggling to fully comprehend and verify. As we delve deeper into the Dogon's celestial wisdom, it becomes clear that these were not primitive stargazers making wild guesses about the lights above. They were astronomers of a sacred sky, scribes of a universe they believed had once spoken directly to them. Their knowledge was not born of telescopes or computer models, but of generations of careful observation, oral tradition, and a profound spiritual connection to the cosmos. The Dogon understanding of the Sirius system is perhaps the most famous and controversial aspect of their astronomical knowledge. How could a pre-technological society have known about a companion star invisible to the naked eye? Some have suggested ancient alien visitations or lost advanced civilizations, but the truth may be both simpler and more profound. The Dogon's deep connection to the sky, their meticulous observations passed down through generations, and their rich symbolic language may have allowed them to intuit or deduce the existence of Sirius B long before Western science caught up. But the Sirius mystery is just one facet of a much larger cosmic understanding. The Dogon saw the sky as a living text, each star and planet a character in an ongoing celestial drama. They recognized that the heavens moved in cycles within cycles, each one influencing life on Earth in subtle but important ways. Take, for example, their understanding of Venus. The Dogon recognized that Venus appeared in the sky in an 8-year cycle, alternating between morning and evening star. They incorporated this knowledge into their agricultural practices, using Venus as a marker for planting and harvesting times. This wasn't just astronomy, it was a practical application of celestial knowledge for survival. The Dogon calendar system was equally sophisticated. Based on the lunar cycle, it incorporated complex intercalary periods to keep it aligned with the solar year. This wasn't just a matter of counting days, it was a way of harmonizing human life with the greater rhythms of the cosmos. But perhaps the most profound aspect of Dogon astronomy was how it was integrated into every aspect of their culture. The movements of the stars weren't just scientific curiosities, they were part of a living, breathing cosmology that informed everything from agricultural practices to spiritual beliefs. The Siguri festival, held every 60 years, was more than just a celebration. It was a way of renewing the world, of realigning human society with the cosmic order. The festival's timing was said to coincide with the orbit of Sirius B around Sirius AA period that modern astronomy has confirmed is indeed about 60 years. During the Siguri, the Dogon would reenact the creation of the world with masked dancers representing various cosmic forces. The festival was a time of renewal, of passing on sacred knowledge, and of reaffirming the Dogon's place in the cosmic order. But the Dogon's celestial knowledge went beyond just Sirius and Venus. They had names and stories for many stars and constellations, each one playing a role in their understanding of the universe. The Pleiades, for example, were seen as a celestial granary, their appearance marking the start of the agricultural season. The Dogon also had a sophisticated understanding of the moon's phases and their effect on Earth. They recognized that the moon's cycle influenced tides, plant growth, and even human behavior. This knowledge was incorporated into their agricultural and social practices, with certain activities being timed to specific lunar phases. As we explore the depth of Dogon astronomical knowledge, it's important to remember that this wasn't just abstract information, it was living knowledge, passed down through generations, constantly being applied and refined. The Dogon didn't separate their astronomy from their daily lives, it was an integral part of their worldview, informing everything from farming to spirituality. The Dogon belief in the breadth of the stars wasn't just poetic imagery. It was a profound understanding of the interconnectedness of all things. Just as humans breathe, they believed, so too did the stars and planets. This cosmic respiration was the pulse of the universe, the rhythm to which all life danced. In the Dogon worldview, everything in the universe was connected by this cosmic breath. The movement of the stars, the changing of the seasons, the growth of plants, the cycles of human life, all were part of this grand, cosmic dance. By aligning themselves with these rhythms, the Dogon believed they could live in harmony with the universe. As our journey through the Dogon's celestial knowledge comes to a close, we're left with a profound sense of wonder. These weren't primitive people making lucky guesses about the night sky. They were sophisticated observers, philosophers, and cosmologists, their knowledge refined over countless generations. The Dogon remind us that there are many ways of knowing, many paths to understanding the universe. Their deep connection to the sky, their ability to see patterns and relationships that eluded Western science for centuries, challenges us to broaden our own perspectives. In the end, The Dogon's legacy is not just their astronomical knowledge, impressive as it is. It's their understanding of humanity's place in the cosmos, not as separate observers, but as integral parts of a living, breathing universe. As we gaze up at the night sky, perhaps we can learn to see it through Dogon eyes, not as a cold, distant void, but as a pulsing, breathing entity. Its rhythms echoing through our very beings. The stars, to the Dogon, were not just points of light, they were beacons of wisdom, guideposts for living, reminders of our place in the grand cosmic dance, and perhaps in our modern world of light pollution and digital distraction. That's a perspective we could all benefit from rediscovering. In the heart of Mali, where ancient cliffs rise like sentinels against the sky, a secret has been whispered for generations. It's a tale of stars and celestial beings, of knowledge that shouldn't exist, yet does. This is the story of the Dogon people and their cosmic legacy. What made the Dogon mythological memory so striking to the outside world was not merely its mention of a star. It was the accuracy. Sirius, the brightest star in the night sky, is visible to the naked eye, but Sirius B, its invisible companion, is not. Yet, in Dogon cosmology, there are stories of Po-Toloa star so dense it is described as the seed of all things, impossibly heavy and orbiting another, brighter star. In modern science, Sirius B is a white dwarf, discovered only in the 20th century with advanced telescopes. But Dogon elders spoke of it long before, saying it took 50 years to orbit Sirius Amity astronomical observations almost exactly. To the Dogon, this wasn't astronomy. It was ancestral knowledge inherited from celestial beings called the Nemo Amphibious. Twin-spirited beings who arrived on Earth in a vessel that spun and landed with great noise and wind. The Namo brought language, irrigation, and the foundations of Dogon ritual life. They are said to have come from a star system far beyond, and they were both feared and revered. The Dogon claimed this wasn't metaphor, it was history told through oral code, passed down through generations with the reverence of sacred truth. Imagine, if you will, a Dogon elder standing beneath a canopy of stars. His weathered hand grips a carved staff, its intricate patterns telling stories older than memory. He gestures to the heavens, his eyes reflecting pinpricks of celestial light. Below, nestled in the moonlit cliffs, traditional Dogon homes stand silent, their very architecture a mirror of cosmic design. Behind him, ancient wall paintings glow in the flickering firelight, each symbol a fragment of the universe's grand story. European anthropologists, particularly Marcel Griol and Germaine Dieterlen, documented this oral tradition in the 1930s, 1950s. They sat with Dogon priests in remote villages, recording tales of Sigi Tolo Sirius, Po Tolo Sirius B, and an even more mysterious Emya Toloa, possible third star in the Sirius system. The Dogon described elliptical orbits and dense matter in metaphors. Star as heavy as all the iron on Earth, with shocking detail. Western audiences couldn't believe it. But how could an oral tradition from rural Mali possibly know about invisible stars and orbital mechanics? Some argued it was a coincidence, a lucky guess in a sea of mythological stories. Others suggested Griol may have influenced or misinterpreted what he heard, projecting his own knowledge onto the Dogon narratives. But among the Dogon themselves, the knowledge wasn't seen as up for debate. It was sacred, passed down through Sugoi ceremonies, masked initiations, and cosmological storytelling that wove the fabric of their culture. Dogon children didn't learn this in school. They learned it in shadowed caves during rites of passage, where the veil between worlds seemed thin enough to touch. Young initiates were brought to sacred sites, told the story of the Namo, taught how to draw the star system in dust with fingers, an elliptical orbit, a spiral universe. These weren't just lessons. They were initiations into a cosmic heritage. Picture a young Dogon initiate kneeling before a priest in a sacred cave. The floor is adorned with patterns showing star systems drawn in red ochre, their shapes mirroring the dance of celestial bodies above. Masks hang on the walls, silent guardians of ancient wisdom. Dim sunlight pierces the cave mouth, a reminder of the world beyond. Yet here, in this moment, the universe feels close enough to touch. This wasn't just mythology. It was a way of seeing the world, a belief that the stars themselves had seeded life, not only in the sky, but in the rhythm of rain, the birth of twins, the planting of millet. The Namor were present in the thunder, in the whispers of ancestors, in the architecture of granaries that mirrored the structure of the cosmos. Every aspect of Dogon life was infused with this celestial knowledge, a living, breathing cosmology that shaped their understanding of existence itself. The Dogon's knowledge of Sirius B has since become a cultural flashpoint, caught between ancient knowledge and skeptical science. Debates rage in academic circles and among enthusiasts of the unexplained. Were the Dogon truly gifted with knowledge beyond their technological means? Or were their stories misunderstood, twisted by time and the lens of outside interpretation? Some argue that the precision of Dogon astronomical knowledge is too accurate to be coincidence. They point to the detailed descriptions of Sirius B's orbit, its density, and even the possibility of a third star in the system. Information that seems beyond the reach of naked eye observation. These proponents suggest that perhaps the Dogon did indeed have contact with beings from beyond our world, or possessed some form of spiritual insight that allowed them to perceive cosmic truths. Skeptics, on the other hand, offer more mundane explanations. They suggest that the Dogon may have acquired this knowledge through contact with European astronomers or educated visitors in the early 20th century, and then incorporated it into their existing mythological framework. Others point to the possibility of misinterpretation or embellishment by the anthropologists who first recorded these stories, arguing that the apparent accuracy might be a result of confirmation bias or overzealous translation. Yet, regardless of how this knowledge came to be, what remains undeniable is the profound impact it has had on Dogon culture and identity. For the Dogon, the stories of Sirius and the Namor are not mere curiosities or points of academic debate. They are the foundation of a rich spiritual tradition, a cosmic narrative that gives meaning to life and death, to the changing of seasons and the passage of time. In Dogon villages, elders still gather under the vast African sky, their voices carrying tales of star beings and celestial journeys. Children still learn to see the patterns of the universe in the dust at their feet, to feel the presence of the Namor in the rush of wind through baobab leaves. The knowledge, whether ancient wisdom or more recent acquisition, has become an integral part of who they are as a people. As the world around them changes, as modernity creeps even into the most remote corners of Mali, the Dogon cling to these stories. They are more than myths. They are a lifeline to their ancestors, to a way of understanding the world that sees the sacred in every grain of sand, every drop of rain, every twinkling star. A people tucked deep in the cliffs of Bandiagara passed down a star map for centuries with secrets so precise they shook the world. Whether you believe the Dogon had telescopes of the spirit or were misunderstood by foreign visitors, their legacy remains a testament to the power of oral tradition and the enduring human quest to understand our place in the cosmos. As night falls over the Bandiagara Escarpment, and Sirius rises once more in the sky. The Dogon continue their ancient dance with the stars. In the flicker of firelight, in the beat of drums, in the whispered stories passed from elder to child, the mystery of Sirius B lives, and a reminder that sometimes the greatest truths are written not in books, but in the hearts and memories of a people who have never forgotten their celestial heritage. You're listening to Under Baobab Skies, where the stories of the stars meet the wisdom of the earth, and where the mysteries of the universe are as close as the next breath, the next heartbeat, the next story told beneath the vast African night. As the seasons shifted and millet swayed beneath the escarpment winds, the Dogon people turned their eyes to the night sky. Their agricultural calendar didn't follow modern moons or Roman numerals. It followed Sirius Bo Tolo, the seed star. By the time the rains threatened to fall, the Dogon elders had already traced its hidden path in the darkness above. According to oral tradition, Sirius was not just one star, but a system of multiple bodies seen, not with telescopes, but with the clarity of inherited cosmology. And this celestial knowledge was embedded in ceremony. In the heart of Mali, where the cliffs of Bandiagara rise like ancient sentinels, the Dogon people have long held secrets whispered by the stars. Their eyes, trained by generations of styxes, see patterns in the heavens that modern astronomers are only beginning to unravel. The night sky is not a distant canvas to the Dogon, but a living tapestry woven into the fabric of their daily lives. Each year, as the dry season gives way to the promise of rain, the Dogon prepare for a ceremony that transcends time itself. The Segui, a spiritual renewal that could span a generation, is not marked by the tick of a clock or the turn of a calendar page. Instead, it is triggered by a celestial dance invisible to the naked. The 60-year orbit of Sirius B around its brighter companion. Sirius B, a white dwarf star, is described in Dogon symbology as a small but incredibly heavy star made of metal. This knowledge, passed down through oral tradition, has puzzled Western scientists for decades. How could a pre-industrial society possess such detailed astronomical information? The answer lies not in modern technology, but in the profound connection between the Dogon and the cosmos that surrounds them. As the time for Segoi approaches, the village comes alive with preparation. Elders don masks that have been hidden away for decades, each intricately carved to represent the Nama spirit beings who, according to Dogon mythology, descended from the sky in a great ark. These celestial visitors brought more than just their presence. They brought the gift of language, the secrets of agriculture, and the wisdom to read the stars. The masks, worn with solemn reverence, transform the elders into living conduits between the earthly and the divine. Their movements, slow and deliberate, mirror the steady progression of stars across the night sky. Each step, each gesture, is a bridge between the mundane and the cosmic, a dance that has been performed since time immemorial. Drums begin to pulse, their rhythms echoing the heartbeat of the universe. The gem and dundun, sacred instruments imbued with the power to communicate with the spirits, call out to the heavens. Their beats are not random. They are precisely timed to coincide with celestial events, a percussion symphony that keeps time with the stars. As night falls, the entire village gathers, their eyes turned skyward. The air is thick with anticipation. For this is not merely a spectacle, it is a synchronization of the terrestrial and the celestial. The placement of granaries and shrines, carefully aligned with star patterns, takes on new significance under the canopy of night. Children, wide-eyed and wondering, are initiated into age-grade societies. Their passage marked not by years, but by the cycles of distant suns. The griots, keepers of oral history, begin their whispered recitations. Their words, carried on the night breeze, with tales of creation and cosmic order. These are not mere stories, but living histories, each syllable a thread connecting the present moment to the vast expanse of time and space. In the flickering light of ceremonial fires, cowrie shells click against divination boards. The patterns they form are not random, but messages from the stars themselves, interpreted by those who have spent lifetimes learning the language of the cosmos. Each throw of the shells is a question asked of the universe, each pattern a celestial answer. As the ceremony reaches its zenith, the entire village listens not with ears, but with rhythm. The pounding of drums, the chants of elders, the rustling of ceremonial robes, all orchestrated in harmony with the sky. The cosmos is not distant here. It is imminent, guiding hands that till soil, carve ladders, and birth legacy. The Dogon's relationship with Sirius is more than astronomical curiosity. It is the foundation of their agricultural and spiritual life. The stars' disappearance and re-emergence in the heavens mark the seasons, dictate planting times, and trigger sacred rituals. Even daily activities, such as rain invocation ceremonies, are tethered to the movements of this celestial beacon. As dawn approaches, the ceremony begins to wind down, but its effects ripple through time. The knowledge passed down, the connections reinforced, will guide the community for years to come. Children who watched wide-eyed will grow to be elders, keepers of the cosmic dance that has sustained their people for countless generations. It is easy for modern eyes to dismiss oral astronomy as romantic myth. But in the Escarpment, villages where history lives in carved doorways and echoes in every footstep up the cliff, the stars speak a language not of fiction, but of functionality. Sirius isn't just a star. It is a whisper from the past, an inheritance from ancestors who learned to read the heavens long before Western science gave them permission. The Dogon's cosmic legacy challenges our understanding of knowledge transmission. In a world increasingly dominated by written records and digital data, their oral tradition stands as a testament to the power of human memory and the depth of indigenous wisdom. It raises questions about the nature of scientific discovery and the multiple paths to understanding the universe. As the first light of dawn breaks over the Bandiagara escarpment, the Dogon return to their daily lives, but they carry with them the night's revelations, the cosmic rhythms now internalized, guiding their actions in subtle ways. Farmers consult the sky before planting. Their agricultural practices, a living embodiment of celestial knowledge passed down through generations. In the village square, elders gather to discuss the night's events. Their conversations are punctuated by references to star positions and cosmic cycles, seamlessly blending the mundane and the divine. To an outsider, it might seem like simple small talk, but to those who understand, it is a continuation of the cosmic dialogue that has sustained their culture for millennia. Children, still buzzing with excitement from the night's ceremony, play games that mimic the movements of the stars. Without realizing it, they are absorbing complex astronomical concepts, ensuring that the knowledge will continue to be passed down, a living legacy written not in books, but in the very fabric of their culture. As the day progresses, the village settles into its rhythm, but the influence of the night sky remains. The positioning of new buildings, the timing of community meetings, even the patterns woven into textiles reflect the cosmic order revealed in the Segui ceremony. The stars are not distant points of light, but ever-present guides, their wisdom woven into every aspect of Dogon life. As night falls once again, the village quiets, but in the stillness, if one listens closely, the echoes of the ceremony can still be heard in the whisper of wind through millet fields, in the distant call of a night bird, in the steady breath of sleeping children. The cosmos continues its dance, and the Dogon, ever watchful, ever listening, remain its faithful partners, keepers of a knowledge as old as the stars themselves. In the heart of a Dogon village, the sacred granary stood tall like a crowned elder, carved from mud and crowned with thatch, but not simply for storing millet. Each noble household possessed its own granary, with carvings and symbols that told stories of conquests, spiritual authority, and ancestral roots that reached back into the red dust of Bandiagara's cliffs. These structures were not equal. The granary of a noble was taller, often wider, and held not just food, but the family's power. As the sun cast long shadows across the village, the granaries stood as silent sentinels, their mud-brick walls etched with the whispers of generations. The intricate patterns carved into their surfaces were not mere decoration, but a language unto themselves, speaking of battles won, spirits appeased, and lineages preserved. Each notch, each swirl, each carefully placed symbol was a testament to the family's place in the grand tapestry of Dogon society. The Dogon did not build kingdoms of stone, but they sculpted a complex society in earth, custom, and ceremony. Noble lineages traced their roots through generations of Hogan priests or warriors, who had once mediated between sky gods and mortal droughts. Their compounds were slightly elevated, both literally and socially, tucked higher into the cliffside, away from common paths, with more rooms and sacred courtyards. Common villagers, by contrast, lived in simpler homes of clay, built with just enough elevation to dodge flood and wild boar, but not enough to dodge status. As we pan across the village, the distinction becomes clear. The noble compounds, perched like watchful eagles on the higher reaches of the cliff face, command a view of the world below. Their walls are thicker, their courtyards more spacious, adorned with intricate carvings that speak of celestial mysteries and earthly triumphs. Here, the air itself seems charged with importance, as if the very dust beneath one's feet knows it treads on hallowed ground. Below, nestled in the gentler slopes, the homes of common folk huddle together in a patchwork of simplicity and practicality. Their walls, though sturdy, lack the ornate embellishments of their noble counterparts. Yet there is a beauty in their modesty, a quiet dignity in the way they stand firm against the elements, sheltering families and dreams alike. It was not just architecture that marked the difference. It was ritual. The right to host certain initiation feasts or to wear specific mask styles was passed down by bloodline. A son of a noble could inherit the honor of leading the Sigi ceremony, while a commoner might only attend from the periphery, hidden in shadows of admiration and envy. Imagine the village coming alive as the Sigi ceremony begins. The air thrums with the beat of drums, the rhythmic chanting of voices that have practiced this ritual for countless generations. At the center of it all stands the son of a noble family, his face obscured by an intricately carved mask that has been passed down through his lineage for centuries. Each movement he makes is imbued with the weight of tradition, each step a connection to the ancestors who danced these same steps long ago. Around him, the villagers gather, their eyes wide with a mixture of awe and reverence. Some press forward, eager to catch a glimpse of the sacred proceedings, while others hang back, knowing their place in the grand scheme of things. The masks worn by the dancers are not mere costumes, but vessels of power, each one telling a story of its own. The noble dancers wear the most elaborate masks, their features twisted into expressions of divine ecstasy or terrifying rage, while the masks of common participants are simpler, yet no less meaningful in their own right. As the ceremony unfolds, the village becomes a living, breathing entity, The granaries loom in the background, their presence a constant reminder of the power structures that govern every aspect of Dogon life. The noble compounds, with their elevated positions, seem to watch over the proceedings like benevolent guardians, while the common homes below serve as a foundation upon which the entire spectacle rests. The Sigi is more than just a dance or a ritual. It is a reaffirmation of the social order, a way for the Dogon to connect with their past and ensure their future. As the dancers whirl and leap, their movements telling stories of creation and destruction, of gods and mortals, the villagers are reminded of their place in the grand cosmic dance. The noble son leading the ceremony is not just performing a role. He is embodying the very essence of his lineage, channeling the power and wisdom of his ancestors through every gesture and utterance. As night falls and the ceremony reaches its climax, the distinction between noble and common seems to blur, if only for a moment. In the flickering light of bonfires, all faces are cast in the same warm glow, all bodies move to the same primal rhythm. Yet, even in this moment of unity, the underlying structure remains. The noble son, his mask now removed, stands slightly apart, his bearing regal even in exhaustion. The common participants, though exhilarated by the shared experience, instinctively give him a wide berth, their deference as ingrained as the very soil beneath their feet. As the fires die down and the village settles into the quiet of night, the granaries once again take center stage. Their silhouettes, backlit by the fading embers, serve as a reminder of the power that lies dormant within their walls. It is not just millet that these structures hold, but the very essence of Dogon society. The stories, the traditions, the carefully maintained balance between those who lead and those who follow. In the days that follow, life in the village returns to its normal rhythms. The noble families go about their business in their elevated compounds, their every action imbued with the authority granted by generations of tradition. The common folk tend to their own affairs, their lives no less vital to the functioning of the community, yet always aware of the invisible lines that separate them from their social superiors. Children play in the dusty streets, their games unconsciously mimicking the power structures they will one day inherit. A young noble boy practices the movements of the Sigi dance, his small body already carrying the weight of future responsibility. Nearby, the son of a common family watches with a mixture of admiration and longing, knowing that such roles will forever be beyond his reach. In the cool of the evening, as the sun dips below the horizon and paints the sky in shades of orange and purple, the village elders gather to discuss matters of importance. The noble leaders sit slightly apart, their words carrying more weight, their decisions shaping the future of the entire community. The common elders listen respectfully, offering their insights when asked, their wisdom valued but always secondary to the authority of their social betters. And so the dance of Dogon society continues, a delicate balance maintained not through written laws or overt displays of force, but through the subtle interplay of architecture, ritual, and tradition. The granaries stand as silent witnesses to this ongoing drama, their mud brick walls holding not just the physical sustenance of the village, but the very essence of its social order. As we pull back for one final view of the village, nestled against the ancient cliffs of Bandiagara, we see it not just as a collection of buildings and people, but as a living, breathing organism. Each home, each granary, each individual has its place in the greater whole. The noble compounds, with their elaborate designs and elevated positions, serve as the village's brain and heart, directing and sustaining the community. The common homes, in their simplicity and strength, form the body and limbs, carrying out the essential tasks that keep the village alive. And at the center of it all, the granaries stand tall, their presence a constant reminder of the power hidden in clay and millet. They are more than mere storage structures. They are the physical embodiment of Dogon society itself, complex, layered, and deeply rooted in the red earth of their ancestral lands. In their silent strength, they speak volumes about a people who have found a way to build a kingdom not of stone, but of earth, custom, and unwavering tradition. In the Dogon world, a mask was more than a disguise. It was a living being, a presence summoned from the other side. During ceremonies, these masks danced in spirals of dust and drumbeats, their shapes abstract and elongated, their meanings encoded. But not every mask could be worn by just anyone. Some were restricted to noble lineages, guardians of ritual memory. Others were more common, worn during communal festivals or crop blessings, unmarked by exclusivity. The air hung heavy with the scent of incense and anticipation, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the village square. The first drumbeats began to echo through the narrow streets. Children peered from behind their mothers' skirts, eyes wide with wonder and a touch of fear. For tonight, the masks would dance. Take the Kanaga mask. Shaped like a double cross, it symbolized the connection between heaven and earth, a symbol many could wear. Its angular form, reminiscent of a bird in flight, spoke of the Dogon's deep connection to the cosmos. As it twirled and leaped in the firelight, one could almost see the stars themselves dancing in its wake. This mask, accessible to many, carried the collective dreams and aspirations of the village. But the satyr mask, that was a different story entirely, representing the first mythical woman and protector of secrets. It was guarded more closely than a king's treasure, often reserved for initiated men from specific families. Its wearer carried the weight of generations, knowledge, and political diplomacy. To wear it without the right lineage was more than a faux pas. It was a rupture in cosmic order, a tear in the very fabric of Dogon society. Imagine, if you will, the moment when a satyr mask emerges from the shadows. The crowd falls silent, breath held collectively. Even the drums seem to hesitate, their rhythms faltering for a heartbeat. The mask moves with a grace that seems impossible for mortal feet, each step a whisper of ancient wisdom. In its carved features, one can see the echoes of countless ancestors, their stories etched in wood and memory. As the night deepens, the dance intensifies. Dust rises under the dancers' feet, creating a hazy veil between our world and the realm of spirits. In this liminal space, where reality blurs and magic takes hold, the true power of the masks reveals itself. They are not mere objects, but conduits, bridges between the seen and unseen, the mortal and the divine. Even funeral rites bore these distinctions, stark reminders of the social order that persisted beyond life itself. When a noble died, the Dharma ceremony was long, loud, and layered with ancient steps. Drummers hidden in shadows, dancers leaping like antelopes, and a village suspended between mourning and ritual precision. For days, the air would be filled with the haunting melodies of funeral dirges, each note a thread weaving the departed soul into the tapestry of the ancestors. Masked figures would emerge from sacred groves, their movements deliberate and charged with meaning. Some represented animals, the swift gazelle, the cunning fox, while others took on more abstract forms, embodying concepts like wisdom or the cycle of seasons. As they danced, they told the story of the noble's life, their triumphs and trials, their place in the grand cosmic drama. The village itself became a stage, with every corner holding significance. Elders would gather in hushed circles, passing sacred objects and whispering prayers that had been uttered for countless generations. Women would keen and wail, their voices rising and falling like the wind through the baobab trees. And always, always, the masks would dance. Tireless, timeless, transcendent. When a commoner passed, the rites were shorter, simpler, meaningful but not mythic. The echoes of status even followed you into the afterlife. Perhaps there would be a single night of remembrance, a few masks brought out to honor the departed. The drums would beat, but with less urgency, less complexity. It was a farewell, certainly, but one without the weight of cosmic significance that accompanied a noble's passing. Yet, in these simpler ceremonies, there was a beauty all their own. Neighbors would gather, sharing stories of the deceased over bowls of millet beer. Children might play games that honored the spirit of the departed, ensuring their memory lived on in laughter and joy. And as the night wore on, a single mask might emerge, not grand or elaborate, but carved with care and worn with reverence. This mask, perhaps representing a common ancestor or a protective spirit, would dance slowly around the gathering. Its movements were less about spectacle and more about connection, linking the living to the dead, the present to the past. In its simple lines and unadorned surface, one could see the dignity of an ordinary life well lived. But despite these hierarchies, the Dogon believed all souls returned to Amma, the Creator. What differed was the ritual vehicle that carried you. Whether a grand procession of ancestors or a quiet farewell under a tamarind tree. For in the end, death was the great equalizer, the final dance that awaited all, regardless of rank or lineage. Imagine a twilight scene. An ancient tamarind tree, its gnarled branches reaching towards a sky painted in shades of purple and gold. Beneath its spreading canopy, an elder moves with slow, deliberate steps. In his weathered hands, he cradles a carved mask. Simple, yet imbued with generations of meaning. Children watch in silent reverence as he places the mask on the ground, a final offering to a departed soul. This moment, free from the pomp and circumstance of grander ceremonies, carries its own profound weight. It speaks to the Dogon belief in the cyclical nature of existence, the eternal dance between life and death, the seen and unseen. The mask, lying still on the earth, becomes a bridge, not just between the living and the dead, but between the individual and the cosmic order. As night falls in earnest, the village settles into a contemplative hush. The masks, both grand and humble, are returned to their sacred hiding places. But their presence lingers, an invisible thread connecting every member of the community to something greater than themselves. By the end of this journey through Dogon mask culture, you'll feel how a single mask worn in silence could carry the full biography of a person, their family, their role, their right to speak, or their eternal silence. It was a language written in wood and fiber, in movement and stillness, in the spaces between breaths and drumbeats. For the Dogon, masks were not mere artifacts or tools of disguise. They were living embodiments of history, philosophy, and cosmic truth. Each curve and angle, each feather and bead, spoke volumes about the wearer's place in society and the universe at large. To don a mask was to step into a role far greater than oneself, to become a vessel for ancestral wisdom, a conduit for divine energy. As we reflect on this rich tradition, we're reminded of the power of symbols and rituals to shape our understanding of the world. In a society where a mask could tell your name, rank, and shadow, every gesture carried weight. Every dance step was a prayer, and every carved line was a story waiting to be told. The next time you encounter a mask, be it in a museum, a ceremony, or even a festival, Pause for a moment. Look beyond its surface and imagine the depths of meaning it might hold. For, in its silent visage, you might just catch a glimpse of the profound connections that bind us all. To each other, to our ancestors, and to the great mysteries that dance at the edges of our understanding. In the heart of Dogon country, where the cliffs rise like ancient guardians and the wind whispers secrets of the past, there lies a sacred space that holds the very essence of life itself. It is not a grand temple or a sprawling marketplace, but a humble structure that stands as a testament to the profound connection between the Dogon people and their ancestors. This is the Jinnah, the family granary, a vessel of sustenance and spirituality that bridges the gap between the living and the dead. Imagine, if you will, a low, round building, its earthen walls weathered by countless seasons, but it is not the structure itself that captures the eye and stirs the soul. It is the door, a thick wooden sentinel carved with intricate symbols that seem to dance in the fading light of dusk. To the uninitiated, these markings might appear as mere decoration, a quaint artifact of a culture frozen in time. But to the Dogon, each notch and curve is a living language, a codex of bloodlines and myths that stretches back to the very moment their ancestors first touched the earth. As the camera pans across the face of the granary door, we see figures emerging from the wood, sinuous forms that undulate like water spirits. These are the Namo primordial beings who sprang forth from the mouth of Oma, the Creator, in the first breath of existence. Beside them, lizards cling to impossible angles, their carved bodies a reminder of the ancestors, who scaled these very cliffs to build their homes among the stars. Each family has their own Jinnah, and its door is far more than a barrier against hungry rodents or the harsh Sahel winds. It is a sentry of memory, a guardian of legacy that stands watch over the precious grains within. A well-stocked granary is not just a sign of a bountiful harvest. It is proof of divine favor, of farming skills honed over generations, and of an unbroken chain of blessings that stretches back to the dawn of Dogon history. As night falls, the village grows quiet, and the granary doors stand silent in the moonlight. But listen closely, and you might hear the faintest whisper. Not the rustle of wind through dried grass, but the murmur of ancestors speaking through wood and time. A creaking hinge might be a warning of danger to come, while a knock on the door with no visible visitor could herald a birth or signal the need for spiritual cleansing. For in the Dogon way, even the smallest sound can carry the weight of prophecy. When a child is born into the Dogon world, their first journey is not to a distant city or sacred site, but to the family granary. Cradled in loving arms, the infant is brought before the carved door, introduced to the spirits that will watch over them throughout their life. And when an elder passes from this world to the next, their body is carried past the Jinnah one final time, a circle completed, as the spirit returns to the place where sustenance and soul are one. Step inside the granary, and you enter a realm where the mundane becomes sacred. Here, the golden millet is more than just food for the body. It is nourishment for the spirit, a living archive of family history that can only be touched by those initiated into the deepest mysteries of Dogon life. The granary guardians, often women whose wisdom has been passed down through countless generations, know the songs that must be sung to unlock the door during certain phases of the moon, or in years when drought threatens the very fabric of existence. As the dry season settles over the land, bringing with it a silence so profound it seems to swallow sound itself, the Dogon people listen more intently than ever to the messages carried on the wind. For it is in these moments of stillness that the wooden slats of the granary doors are said to speak most clearly. not with the voice of the living, but with the whispered wisdom of those who have gone before. Every 7 years, as regular as the cycles of the stars that the Dogon have studied for millennia, a sacred ritual unfolds. The elders gather, their weathered hands carrying pots of pigment and carving tools honed to razor sharpness. With reverence and precision, they repaint, recarve, or bless the granary door, not simply maintaining a structure, but reinforcing the very foundations of Dogon cosmology. For without the granary, how could one measure the passage of time? How could one hold the weight of the past in hands made of flesh and bone? The design of the Jinnah is a microcosm of the universe itself, round like the earth that sustains all life, sealed like the sky that holds the secrets of creation, opened only when the soul is ready to receive the knowledge contained within. To be born Dogon is to inherit a portal, a gateway shaped from wood and myth that tethers you to Oma, the creator, to the life-giving millet that fills the granary, to the stars that have guided your people for countless generations, and to the long line of ancestors whose feet have trod these cliffs and valleys since time immemorial. As the first light of dawn breaks over the Bandiagara Escarpment, we see an elder Dogon man seated before a granary door, his gnarled hands steady as he carefully carves a new symbol into the weathered wood. Around him, a circle of young faces watches in solemn silence, absorbing every movement, every whispered incantation. This is not just a lesson in craftsmanship, it is the passing of a torch, the continuation of a story that has been unfolding since the first granary door was sealed against the night. For, in the Dogon way of life, nothing is truly inanimate. A single grain of millet carries within it the spark of life, a potential for growth and renewal that mirrors the cycle of human existence. The granary door is not merely a barrier, but a living entity that holds within its wooden fibers the very essence of the sky. The same sky that the Dogon have read like an open book for countless generations. And so the story continues, woven not only in the myths spoken by griots around flickering fires, or in the celestial tales told by seers who can read the language of the stars. It lives in the quiet wood that groans with the weight of memory, in the dust that settles between ancient stones, remembering the touch of every hand that has ever reached out to trace the carvings on a granary door. As the sun climbs higher in the sky, casting long shadows across the Dogon landscape, we are reminded that in this place, time moves in circles rather than straight lines. The past is never truly gone, but lives on in every granary door that opens to release the bounty of the earth. In every child who learns the sacred songs that will one day unlock the mysteries of their heritage. For in the end, the granary is more than a storehouse for grain. It is a repository of culture, a keeper of secrets, a bridge between worlds. It stands as a testament to the enduring spirit of the Dogon people, who have carved their legacy not just in wood and stone, but in the very fabric of the cosmos itself. And as the day draws to a close, and the granary doors are sealed once more against the coming night, we are left with a profound sense of connection to the earth, to the sky, to the ancestors who watch over us all. For in the Dogon way, even the smallest grain of millet contains a universe of meaning, and even the humblest door can open onto infinity. And so, under the fading light of the Sahel moon, we step back from the sheer cliffs of Bandiagara. The wind that once howled through Dogon ladders and dried millet fields now carries only stories of how a people built lives out of vertical stone, how they mapped stars unseen, and how masks danced between the living and the dead. You've journeyed through the sacred hollows of Amma's myth, where creation did not start with thunder but with vibration, rhythm, and breath. you've glimpsed the possibility of knowledge passed in whispers across generations long before science could verify what the Dogon already knew. And you've walked quietly into the courtyards of noble and common alike, where millet was stored with reverence, and secrets were held in carved doors and woven rituals. These weren't just cliff dwellers in the tourist sense. They were astronomers without telescopes, architects without blueprints, historians without scrolls, writing their legacy in mud, stars, and memory. Their cliffs were never isolation but elevation. Their silence was never emptiness but echo. Their masks were never decoration but communion. As the night deepens and the stars emerge like ancient memories, we find ourselves at the edge of understanding. The Dogon have shown us a world where the boundaries between earth and sky, past and present, mortal and divine, blur into a tapestry of wisdom. We've seen how their homes, carved into unyielding rock, stand as testament to human ingenuity and spiritual devotion. In the whisper of the wind through narrow passageways, we hear the echoes of countless generations. Each gust carries the laughter of children playing in dusty courtyards, the rhythmic pounding of millet in wooden mortar, the low hum of elders sharing stories beneath the shade of a baobab tree. These are the sounds of a culture that has persevered, adapting to the harsh realities of their environment while never losing sight of the stars that guide them. The Dogon's relationship with the cosmos is not one of distant observation, but of intimate connection. Their knowledge of Sirius B, a star invisible to the naked eye, speaks to a deeper understanding of the universe, one that Western science is only beginning to grasp. In their cosmology, we find a reminder that wisdom can come from unexpected sources, that truth can be preserved in the unlikeliest of places. As we prepare to leave this land of vertical horizons and celestial secrets, we carry with us more than just memories. We carry the weight of responsibility to honor the knowledge we've been entrusted with, to recognize the value of traditions that have withstood the test of time. The Dogon have shown us that true wealth lies not in material possessions, but in the richness of culture, in the depth of understanding, in the strength of community. Their masks, intricate and powerful, have danced before our eyes, bridging the gap between the seen and unseen worlds. In the rhythmic movements of the masked dancers, we've witnessed the embodiment of ancestral spirits, the living enactment of myths that have shaped the Dogon worldview for centuries. These are not mere performances for outsiders, but vital expressions of a living, breathing culture. As the last embers of our campfire fade and the night envelops us in its cool embrace, we are left with a profound sense of connection. Connection to the earth beneath our feet, to the stars above our heads, and to the timeless wisdom that flows through the veins of humanity. The Dogon have reminded us that we are all part of a greater whole, that our stories are intertwined with the very fabric of the universe. And tonight, as your breathing softens and your thoughts begin to drift, let that echo stay with you. Let it whisper across your sleep like dust across a courtyard floor, reminding you that somewhere, carved into rock and woven into star myths, the past is never gone. It is only waiting quiet and patient under its own kind of sky. In the morning, as the first rays of sunlight paint the cliffs in shades of gold and amber, we will begin our journey back to the world we know. But we will carry with us the lessons of the Dogon, their resilience, their wisdom, their profound connection to the cosmos. We will remember that even in the face of change, some truths remain eternal, etched into the very stone of existence. As we depart, let us not say goodbye, but rather until we meet again. For in the grand tapestry of time and space, all journeys are circular, all separations temporary. The Dogon have shown us that the past, present, and future are not linear, but interwoven a cosmic dance that continues long after we've left the stage. And so, with hearts full of gratitude and minds expanded by new horizons, we take our leave of Bandiagara. But know this, the wind that whispers through the cliffs will carry our story too, adding it to the countless tales that have shaped this land. We are now part of the Dogon's living history, and they are forever part of ours. You're under the baobab skies. Good night, and may the stars guide your dreams.